Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new Warframe guide. Today we're going down the avenue of how to be James Bond. We're going to be looking at all the avenues of what you need to know about spy missions, whether it be the frames, how to execute every spy tile set, whilst also looking over the basic semantics of everything therein. This is only going to cover pretty much the stuff you need to know and should do to optimize your efficiency with spy runs. But before we get started, as always, if you would like to come and join what we do here, these videos are recorded during my Twitch streams. If you would like to join us at any given time, there is a link to my Twitch, as well as my Twitter and all that good stuff down below. If you would like to follow my Twitter, follow my Twitch, feel free to come and join us sometime. We'll be happy to have you in, and you can shape how these guides go. And if you would consider maybe subscribing to the YouTube as well, that'd be pretty cool, eh? First things first. What is a spy mission? Spy missions are missions within Warframe that will have 3 objectives within them, where you have to sneakily sneak through the objectives therein and get to the end and hack a control panel. There are a multitude of different tile sets ranging from default Grinneer, default Corpus, Uranus, Earth spy missions, Kuva, and Lua. We are going to go through each and every one of these tile sets and show you exactly what you have to do. But before we do that, let's have a look at what you can do to prepare yourself for what you have to do within these missions. So what are spy missions? Spy missions are a mission type within Warframe that will ask you to sneak all the way to the end of the objective and hack a control panel. If you are detected by either lasers, being seen by an enemy who then raise an alarm, or anything of that nature, you then have to rush to the end within a certain amount of time or risk failing the completion of that segment. In most spy missions, you can fail 1 or 2 without any hindrance, but in high level and special events like sorties, you are unable to fail one, otherwise it will count as a complete mission failure. So we're going to go through all these elements and show you exactly what you need to do and how to prepare for them. So, the first thing we want to look at are the frames. Now, there's obviously a couple of very obvious frames you're going to take. Loki being one of the most obvious. There are 4 frames that I could recommend for doing spy missions with. Loki, Ash, Ivara, and Octavia. Now, these frames have some form of utility towards invisibility, being silent, or some element that will help you sneak through these missions without being detected. Some of these have other utilities as well that can also add to their potency within spy missions. For example, Ash's teleport, Loki's jump teleport where you swap places with your enemy. Ivara's stealth and tripwire can be very useful as well. Octavia's invisibility as well as sound suppression as well is also pretty good. There are other frames that can work as well. And something I would like to raise the importance of is the fact that any spy mission can be done with any frame. I personally do spy missions with Rhino, simply because it's what I've come to with and it allows for a lot of utility. The reason Rhino works is because his Stomp allows you to pacify enemies, and you can use Iron Skin to soak up damage if enemies are trying to shoot you whilst you're trying to hack a console or anything of that nature. Limbo is also another very good choice, as Limbo is a banish and rift shifting mode, allows him to not get hit by lasers. Limbo is by far one of the most useful frames for these sorts of missions because it means you don't have to worry about getting detected by half of the operations that these missions will detect you with. Other frames that can be useful as well, things like Nova with the teleportation bubbles, but essentially leave it down to your personal opinion. Any frame can do spy missions. It's about the muscle memory and remembering how each spy mission works. Ciphers are also another good choice to bring with you. You can get the blueprint for these from the marketplace. Ciphers allow you to automatically hack any target that you're trying to hack at the time, unless it's a special event or a sortie, in which case ciphers cannot be used. This can definitely save you a lot of time and will allow you to run through missions very haphazardly without needing to worry too much about failing them. However, I would not rely on these, as when you get to a mission where you are not allowed to use ciphers, you definitely want to remember how to actually do the hacking themselves. Now, when it comes to hacking is very simple. You have the Corpus and the Grineer type hacking, which we'll have examples of up here. The Corpus and Grineer, they are both down to muscle memory. The Corpus tile set is about completing the outer ring and then completing the middle. The Grineer is pure muscle memory of making sure you tap your spacebar whenever you go over one of the little tabs. And there are outside secondary resources from websites that you can use in order to practice these, which I will leave a link to in the description of the video as well. The rewards for spy missions are pretty straightforward. Every time you complete a successful hack of a node within a spy mission, you gain affinity. The higher the level mission, the more affinity you will gain. Certain spy missions, for example the Kuva Fortress, these will have specific rewards such as items for frames. The Kuva Fortress gives you the neuroptics for Harrow. If you complete all 3 missions, all 3 nodes within a spy mission without failing one, then you have the chance for a Ivara component as well. Along with that, a lot of these spy missions can have unique rewards, which will be linked via the wiki link in the description of the video as well, which will entail things like rare mods, rare materials, relics, and all that kind of good stuff. Completing all 3 will often be a requirement to get some of these rewards as well, so you want to try and complete all 3 where you can. 1 or 2 last little things you want to keep in mind before you go into your spy missions. The definite do's and do nots. Definitely take your time. There is no rush. You would rather take your time and go slowly than rush and end up failing and causing your entire team to be angry. Another definite do is do each individual node on your own. Do not have more than 1 person to a single hack, otherwise it will likely end up with too many kettles brewing, too many. There's a saying for it. Don't have more than 1 person doing a single challenge at a given time, otherwise it will cluster things up and you're more likely to fail. One last little note as well is that sorties and conditioned spy missions that have the cryogenic leak in them will end up blocking off certain avenues within spy missions, so you want to keep an eye on that. This is the only time where the pathing of spy missions will change. So if you go into a mission and cryogenic leak is one of the conditions, keep an eye on the exits that you would normally take, because not all of them will be open. So the first thing you want to realize is Grineer tileset spy missions have a few things that can detect you that you want to keep an eye out for. The main thing are the drones, which float around that have lasers pointing out of them. You then also have the laser walls, which if you walk into them will cause the alarm to go off, and also the laser sensor bars that go above the doors here. So keep an eye out for those if you can. Don't walk into them if you can help it, and you'll want to take them out as you go. Now, the reason I use Rhino, as I mentioned earlier, is because of his stomp. So if I run into an enemy that I want to take out of the equation, I stomp. The stomp will then keep that enemy in the air, as well as the sensor bars. So with this one, you want to go directly to the right. You can go straight through this door if you wish. However, going directly to the right and then out here, hugging the wall, and then landing here, you shoot the sensor bar here, and this will then disable the sensor bar on the other side as well. There is a path on the other side that will lead you down to the vent down on the bottom, but all you do is you go to the right like so, and there's usually 1 or 2 scanner drones wandering around, so you stomp, and that will cause the scanner drone to become either destroyed or held in place. Rhino's stomp is essentially a... It basically removes the enemy from play. And what I'm going to be doing with this is every time I use a cipher, that is essentially me doing a hack normally. This is simply just to save time. You can also use the avenue down here to go below and around. The vent on the left also does the same thing. This one has multiple different paths, but it's a very simplistic one. For this spy segment, there are 2 avenues. Right off the bat, you're going to step through the door. You can either take to the left or take to the right. My recommendation is you go to the right. There's a little hole in the floor here that you can climb through, and you're going to use this wall here to wall jump along. You're going to hold yourself in this segment here until the lasers pass through. Then you're going to sneakily jump to the end of the corridor, and then up into the hole in the ceiling like so. You're going to go back turn so that you go back on yourself and come out to this little area here. You jump across the banners like so, and then you drop down. You'll hack the control panel. Again, anytime I use my cipher, this would just be somewhere that you'd normally hack. There can be a dude in this room, so you might want to be careful when you go in there. Those drones going by on the outside as well can potentially spot you, so trying to get through as quickly as possible is more recommended. Then once you're through, just hack the console and you're done with this segment. The other way is doable, but you have much more of a risk of being detected. The only thing that detects you the way we just took is that laser grid you saw. And the third of the Grinneer tile sets, you're going to go through the door, and again there are 2 paths here, one to the left, one to the right. My go-to is going straight to the right, ignore the door with the laser beam in front of it. You're going to bullet jump over these little paths here, whilst going against the grain of the conveyor belt. You're going to leap through this door right here, and you're going to go to the very end, and you're going to drop down onto the pipe, down onto the floor down here, whilst avoiding the scanner drone, either destroying it or stomping to prevent it from hitting you, like so. Then you're going to go up to the door, hack the door, and go through and hack the final control panel. The next tile set is the one that will have the drone in the front here with the little pipe. These drones, as I mentioned earlier, you can stomp to take them out of play, or you can destroy them. Bear in mind, if you don't destroy a drone in a single hit, it will sound the alarm as well. At the higher level, a stomp won't destroy the alarm, so it will the drone even, so it will cause them to sound the alarm if you don't destroy them with a single hit. But the stomp will just simply remove them from play, and it won't sound the alarm. So with this one, you head to the right initially, you hack the panel on your left, you then go through this little causeway here. You're then going to head directly to the right, go through this little tunnel, and there's a little hole down here. You go down the hole. Down here, there's no security, so you don't need to worry about being spotted. Then you're going to go over here, and hacking these will disable the sensors that would otherwise detect you normally. Then you can go back on yourself, like so. You can alternatively also skip this segment entirely. If you're very quick at hacking, when you get into the final room, you can entirely skip this process just by getting up to here initially, by going through that hole you came out of initially, and coming straight over to this hack panel, where you can just hack the button and open the door, and then hack the final control panel. So hacking this opens the door down below. There are sometimes an enemy inside this room as well, and hacking the control panel below disabled the laser, which is right there, which then would have detected you otherwise. The scanner actually damages you as well, so if you have a very flimsy frame, it's actually very hard to hack this without deactivating. Now for one of the easiest of all of the spy missions you will ever do. This one, you're going to hack the console directly in front of you, and there is literally only one path you need to know about this room. You go through either of the doors, and naturally you'd think you go down that way. Don't. All you got to do is you go up, you hang on the wall, you jump on the roof, and there's a lovely broken ceiling because apparently the maintenance workers in the ship are absolutely useless. You jump down inside, you hack the control panel, and you're done. It is as simple as that. A little tidbit that is worth noting is that you can also use your operator whilst crouching to hack. This is nothing that you have to do, but it definitely can be an option should you wish to, because it does class as stealth. And the final node of the Grineer spy missions is the glass floor. I'm stomping right off the bat as there are two scanners that are in this room. You would normally try to avoid these, and there can also be a soldier that spawns. Now, the way you want to do this is you want to choose one of the paths, generally either the right or the left. You're going to go into the avenue on the side, take out the scanner, and you're going to head to the right up into the upper floor like this. You're going to go to the middle, and there's going to be a scanner wall here. You want to make sure you don't get hit by that scanner wall, otherwise life will feel very bad, man. You're going to wait for that to end, jump to the end, go down the middle like so, and you're going to want to hack this little control panel here. Any enemy that you would come across, you would either crowd control or backstab and execute. Once you've hacked this control panel, you're going to head back on yourself and head down here, preferably without getting hit by the lasers. You're going to head all the way down to the other end, which then ends you up inside the final room. You would then normally come down the elevator if you went the other way, but that is just the most direct way. Corpus have laser walls and cameras that will detect you. Thankfully, they do not have the drones like most of the Grineer spy missions do. However, there are lots of enemies and mowers that can also get in your way. These laser walls and laser beams in general will automatically sound off an alarm if you hit by them. So with this one, it's all about your timing. You're going to let the wall come back on itself first, then you're going to dip on through, hide in the little hovel on the side, and then you're going to make your way out, wait for the wall to come back, go through this little hole in the wall here, and once you go up into the vent, you're going to sneak your way out here. Now, there is normally a camera directly up in the corner there, so you're going to want to take your time and shoot the damn thing before it notices you, or it'll just notice you anyway because you're an idiot. Then you go through this little wall here, and you'll pass down through the lasers like so, without getting hit. I never said this would be a professional run. And then you hack the control panel. There is another element to this node as well. Whereas we went to the right after coming into this segment, you can alternatively go to the left and hack the control panel in this room, which will disable the laser walls, which will allow you to hack the door open right here. That is just an alternative path that can be used as well. Now we come to the tower. The tower is very straightforward. There are a couple of avenues you can take here. There are vents leading down the elevator like so, or you can go directly down to the bottom. Either way works. Main point is you want to get to the middle of the room here. Once you're in the room, kill any dude that may be in your way, and you go to the very top of the tower here. At the top of the tower, there's a hole in the ceiling, and you're going to be working your way down through the tower, landing on the balconies like so, timing up your descent so that you don't get hit by the lasers. Most of them are on a very similar flow. Now, this one can be done in a smash and grab fashion if you wish. If you start at the top and use a slam attack to go directly down through the lasers like so, you'll end up at the bottom very quickly, and you'll still have about 50 seconds to finish the final hack. And again, the Corpus hack is just a case of doing the outside, then the middle. So this is very simple. Smash and grab, or take your time and go slowly down through. It's entirely up to you. Now, this is one of the more challenging spy segments. This one will require a lot of patience and jumping. There are a lot of lasers in this room, which you're just going to want to avoid to your best. You're going to leap to the other end. There is a little control panel here in which you can hack, which will disable certain lasers. So with this, you can either take the side path down here, which allows you to get to the upper balcony. In some instances of this vent will be open, allowing you to get round to the back over there, which will allow you to directly drop down. Otherwise, in the higher level versions of this mission, you have to either sneakily avoid everything possible by jumping to the end like so, and then rolling on through when this goes back up, or you can ham-fist it by just going straight down the middle. It is entirely up to you, and then there's a little node at the end that will deactivate everything. A Nova in this situation, or an Ash, or a Loki is exceptionally useful, as well as Limbo really show their use for not being able to be detected by the lasers. So once again, just hack your thing, go in and hack the control panel. Now for the slightly more clustered one. This is a very small room, however it can be slightly disorientating. So the second you go through the room here, there's usually a camera that will try and get you. In the lower level missions, these side panels can be open, allowing you to skip certain elements of this. There's a dude that will be pathing through. You're going to go to the right, directly off the bat, and kill any dude that may be in your way. You're going to time your progression through so that you don't get hit by the lasers or the camera. And you just want to work your way around to the back. This can go very haphazardly if you're not careful. So you just roll through, and you can use the air vents back here as well to try and make your life a bit easier. This can then help you get to the very end very quickly. Or you can hack the door on the outside as well. These paths don't always appear, so keep an eye on the mission depending which one you're doing. If the vent doesn't appear, you'll need to go directly through the door and hack the door itself to be able to get into the final room here. Now for one of the slightly more convoluted of the spy missions. This one, there's always a dude who is patrolling at the very beginning. You can kill him or ignore him, it's entirely up to you. Normally he goes into that room back there. Now this one, you can either take the left or the right. This will generally go the same way either way. There is usually a camera that hides below here, so you want to take that out when you get the opportunity. And once you go into this room, there are one of two things you can do. In certain scenarios, this vent is not open. If that's the case, you will need to hack the door down here to go through. Otherwise, if the vent is open, you go up through the vent like so. Assuming you're not an idiot like me and miss it completely. Ah, there we go. Right, up through the vent like so. And then you're going to go through this little hovel. And the aim of this is you can either fight the guys down there, but what you're trying to do is go across and through the middle to the other side like so. Once you're in the opposite room, check for the camera if there is one. You can alternatively just go straight over to the side like so and do this, but what you're looking for is the hole in the wall, which is usually at the back here, which will lead directly in. There's two ways this can happen. So this is way one. The other way this would work is there is another path that you take to the left when you first enter that would lead you through this panel here. So let's just take a second to analyze how this works. So what you just saw is what happened if we go to the right. So if we were to go to the left, if the left door was open when we first started, the same sort of thing applies. You would go directly up through this hole here if it's open. If not, you hack the door at the bottom. You then go through and across like so to get to the other side. And in the alternative version, when you get down here, instead, this vent would be open instead. So there are two direct paths you can take for this one specifically. You can alternatively go headfirst into it and just try and go straight through the lasers and try and hack your way through it, but that's a bit blunt-headed, and that's what I do, so don't do what I do in this situation. Now we're on to lure spy missions. These are the dreadedest, most annoyingest, if those are even words, of all the spy missions. Although A and B here are very simplistic, C will literally give you PTSD after you're done with it. Now, I don't often make recommendations on frames you should use. However, Limbo makes these lure spy missions trivial. So definitely if you have the option, even if he's level 5, get him. The Rift mode allows you to subvert most of the mechanics of these missions very, very easily. On top of that, Lure also has a different loot table to most spy missions. You get Blood Rush here, which is one of those Acolyte mods which everyone is always talking about. So it's very useful to do this for those mods. There are also other rare and useful mods that you can get here that would otherwise not drop anywhere else. So with A is probably one of the simplest. You're going to want to enter each of these in your Rift mode, and the second you get in here, you're going to go directly to the right. You're going to avoid the lasers. You're going to go through the door here, and you're going to jump down to the platform below, where you will find one of the new mechanics. Now, Lure has a very unique mechanic where you're going to travel into the past of Lure. Don't worry too much about what or why, just know that it will teleport you to a different version of the map you're in. You go back in time, you're going to make sure you go back into Rift mode, and you're going to wall jump all the way to the end of this platform, whilst your Kuva does many interesting somersaults above you, and you're going to go all the way to the end like so. And then you're going to be in the next room. Now, this is the last challenge of the A in Lure. And you're going to stand on the platform here, which will disable the lasers at the bottom. So if we do that now, you then jump all the way to the bottom without getting hit. And you've got to get over this ice before the door closes. And that is that for A. It is as simple as that. Once you hack this, there'll be a portal that appears right next to you. And then you're sent back in time again. Lure Spy B node. It's going to start by you shooting this little button here, assuming you're not in Rift mode. Once you shoot this button, it will start the challenge. Now this one is probably the shortest out of all three of them. Very simply put, you're going to go into this little portal here. You're going to hack the console, which will open the wall on your left. You're then going to hit the little node here. You essentially need to shoot it to get it active again. You're going to go back to the old time where the door is now lifted. So this is something you'll notice. What you do in one mode will affect the other. So what you do in the past will affect the future. Don't look too much into it. Just know that you need to do this. This is the simplest way. You can also do this in the past version, but doing this in the present version is much simpler. So you're going to go all the way through to the very far end. You're going to make your way down here. Avoid the lasers where you can. Obviously, Limbo makes this very trivial. Watch out for the lightning. Even in Limbo mode, that will affect you, so don't get hit by it. You're then going to jump into the very far corner over here, and there's a little hole in the wall where you'll jump down and you'll have a portal on your right. You go through the portal, and it leads you to the final console. As I said, there is a secondary way of doing this in the past version. It's really, really not needed. You basically have to jump from wall to wall while activating nodes, and it's really, really finicky. You can just do it this way much, much easier. It just requires you to be a bit more stealthy. Now we're on to Node C of the Lure Spy, and this is the one that gives people PTSD. There are multiple different ways of doing this. We're going to show you the main way with a couple of the alternative paths. So right off the bat, you're going to go into the main room. The end is directly in front of you, however, it's not active. So, using the power of TARDIS timey-wimey technology, we're going to go to the right initially, into this little cupboard. We're going to go through the portal, hack the terminal in front of us, which will open the door. Now we're going to engage in an act of vandalism and destroy the tower. Anything you do in the past is then affected in the present. Don't overthink this, it's very complicated. We're then going to shoot the thingy back here. We're going to go back to the past. We're going to go to the obstacle we just destroyed and how it's now made a hole in the ground for us. We're then going to travel down into the hole, see all the mess we've made, go through the portal that's down here, conveniently. We're then going to go to the door on our left, hack the control panel, or just activate the button, sorry, and then we're going to jump up through the hole that was made. Now, there's one of two things you can do here. You either go to the left, if you would like, however, it's entirely not needed. Instead, you're going to stand on the button here, which will activate a challenge. If you're using Limbo's mode, you can just go straight through the lasers. If not, you'd have to jump over or under. It's entirely up to you. Nova's also very useful here as well. What you can do is then you go into the portal here. You're going to then go directly to the left through a hole in the wall, which will subvert the entire challenge, allowing you to progress straight through. Then you're going to make your way to the back door here, and you're going to be going through the portal that is traversing along the ramp. And then you're going to be ending up back in the past. And then you're going to be coming to the memory challenge. Now, if you complete this memory challenge, you get straight to the end that's directly through the door. However, this is incredibly annoying to do, and if you fail it, you then have 1 minute and 25 seconds to complete it, and it gets harder and harder the more times you fail it. You can do this if you have the patience, and if you know how to do it, but if you have a limbo, or you feel like taking a slightly less risky way, then you can go through the door on the left here by hacking the control panel. And going through the lasers, I mean, again, you could just jump over them, but obviously I'm just doing it this way. Now, this is where you're going to be using timey-wimey technology to take the most advantage. You're going to go through the portal on the right here to get back to the present. You're going to go under the door over to the very far side. You're going to go through the portal, shoot the button at the top here, which will send a container all the way through to the present, which you're going to shoot, which will then knock over the boulder, which will open up a pathway you can get through. And what you're going to do here is you're going to go through the portal, activate the button here, and much like what we just did a moment ago, you'll see that there's a explosive container in that thing there. You activate the portal as it goes through, and then you are going to take the same portal to go back to the present. That container will then end up here, allowing you to open a hole in the wall. Once you go through that hole in the wall, you are at the end. Now, this is one that's slightly longer, but it is slightly safer with a limbo, and it is probably the more easily memorized. I will very likely have a link to the other methods of doing this that I will get one of my friends to do. However, this is the way I would recommend learning Lua, and then if you want to go into more detail, check out the other video we have on this. Because once you're done with that, you then just go through the portal like so, and you will end up at the exit. So that is Lua. Lua definitely has more of a challenge than most of the Lua puzzle, most of the spy missions. However, this is definitely one that can offer a bit of challenge if you're looking for a spy mission that's more than just go here and hack something. And now we are on to Uranus. The Uranus spy missions, Uranus, will have the typical Grineer security details of drones and lasers and all that jazz. So with this first one, you're going to want to get from the bottom of the tower to the top. There's a couple of avenues you could approach with this one. One involves flooding the entire room, and one involves being a bit more sneaky. As always, with the drones, you want to avoid them as best possible. And these sort of drones are these ones here. If you have the ability of one-shotting them, then by all means do so. For this situation, I'm going to be killing them just for the sake of it, as it's going to make my life easier. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be initially going over to the right here, round up the stairs over here, like so. If you were to take the alternative route, there's a bunch of vents that you would open to let water out. It's a bit long-winded, and it can still cause you to fail. This is the way I personally prefer doing for the sake of security and making sure I get through this easy peasy. You can also, there is also an avenue where you can cheese this by dashing with a frame or using teleportation to go up through the portal, the wall on the top floor. But that is entirely personal preference. You don't need to do that, it just helps. You want to try and hug the side wall here so you avoid being possibly detected by any of the drones. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking for that little red laser there. And you're going to head to the hole in the wall over here, probably without being spotted. There's usually at least 3 drones in this room total. You're going to take the vent here, and you're going to go all the way to the top like so. And you probably want to move your camera to the side so you can peer out into the room. And if there is a drone, you can either, again, try to avoid it as best you can. These will usually only path along the one side they're on. They're normally not going to go all the way around, except for this top one, which will path from back all the way around to the other side, then back again, and then all the way around again. Now, once you're done with that, you're going to make your way to the other side, or at least you would if you weren't an idiot like me. Try that again. Going to go to the other side, where there'll be a little door with a laser in front of it. You just want to time it out and roll through. Then you're going to go directly up again, and this will lead you to the end. There are sometimes guards up here as well, which can prove to be annoying sometimes. You just want to either take them out or deal with them. Either way, you get on, you hack your thing, and that is the tower done. And now for possibly the most annoying of the spy segments, because this involves you using Sharkwing. So, right off the bat, you're going to want to hack this control panel in front of you. It doesn't matter which side you go, but I would always recommend going right, find a path and stick to it. You're going to jump down in the water, and your objective is to follow the light. These tubes will basically guide you in the right direction. Now, when you go down here, you're going to come across these funnels of air. Now, the air is projected by the vents. All you got to do to turn it off is shoot the control panels either side, and it will turn the air vents off and allow you a reprise to then get a bit of a segue away from where you need to be. You don't need to go anywhere away from this one though. All you need to do to carry on here is to then move on the way you were traveling. Follow the traveling light above you. Just wait for the fans to turn off. Again, you can disable those if you wish, but if you just make a quick right, you make a quick left, you make a quick right, and then you go all the way up into the ceiling here, and this will lead you out into this little area here. You hack the control panel, and then this will lead you into the final room. Now, this can be very cumbersome, and this will take you a few attempts to get right. You don't need to make this any more complicated than it is. Going any other path than the one that we just traveled will end you up back at the start. So keep your eyes open. And for the next Uranus spy segment, this one has one of two paths you can take. To put it simply, left is tricky, but quick. Right is safer, but more long-winded. And I'm going to show you both of them because they're both worth doing depending on how you feel. So if you go up to the right, you're going to see that there's an opening in the ceiling. You go up through this opening and there'll be a vent. You go through this lovely little vent here, and this will lead you through a Metal Gear Solid style escapade where there will be lasers. You don't want to get hit by these lasers. So you're either going to do something to teleport through them, or you're just going to avoid them entirely. It's entirely up to you. So just have some good timing and don't suck. Get through, jump over this little thing here, and then you're going to do the same with this last one. Get as close to the corner as you can, and then boom, straight on through, and then that's pretty much it for that way of doing it. You then jump down, and you'll be in the final room. Now, my recommendation is to take this route if you're new, as there's a lot less that could go wrong. The second way is to the left, and this is a bit more tricky, but this is entirely down to you as to whether you wish to execute it this way or not. You're going to go directly down to the left, very simply put, and here you can either take one of two paths. To the left, there's a Sharkwing. I would not recommend doing this, it's unnecessary. All you do is you go to the right, and there's a door here. Much like in the upper segment, these lasers just need to be avoided. You can time it out, or you can abuse mechanisms of your frame, for example, charge or teleportation, or dashing with your operator. Either way, you're just going to try and avoid the lasers by jumping through like so, without getting seen, get to the end, hack the thing, and then that leads you to the final room as where we were before. The Sharkwing ends up leading you here, but it's really stupidly, frustratingly finicky. You don't need to do it, but the two ways I've shown you are definitely the easiest. And now for the Earth tile set. The Earth spy missions are again Grineer, so you'll be watching out for the laser walls, the cameras, and the drones. Although most of these are very simplistic, and as these are introductory to what spy missions are. So the first one we're going to look at is the water fill-up waterfall one. You're going to have some dudes wandering around doing their thing. You either want to kill them or avoid them, it's entirely up to you. The objective here is to hack 3 consoles to lower the water that is submerging the end console. So there's one directly in front of where you come in. You jump up and over. There is another one directly in front of that on the opposite side of the building. You hack that one and that'll lower it even further. And then directly up behind the waterfall is another one. There can be a drone or an enemy wandering around the pathing back here, especially if you get this as a conditioned mission, so keep an eye out for that. Sometimes, if you want to be safe, you can also use alternative paths to get up here. It is entirely personal preference. However, it's nothing you really want to worry about. This is a very small, condensed map. Then you come down here, shoot the camera, hack the control panel on the side. If you try to come down here whilst there's still water, even if one of the control panels haven't been hacked, then you'll be reset, and I believe it even causes the alarm to go off as well. Now for something you'll probably remember from the tutorial. This spy segment is the same tile set you would have seen in the initial tutorial mission. Now, the easiest way of doing this, and this is probably one of the most simplest ones you'll do, don't touch the lasers, and there's a lovely grate just above the water here. Jump into the grate, and that will lead you directly to the end of the spy mission. There's no point going around and trying to hack doors when you could literally just make life simple for yourself. There is a camera, and there is a dude wandering around. You can either destroy them or hack them, it's entirely up to you. And for the final Earth spy mission, this one is probably the more complicated of this tile set. You're going to go through this lovely door here, and there's going to be a lovely shower to present to you. You're going to be shut down to the bottom. You're going to exit like so. Now, you can either take this slowly and methodically by going up all around the stairs here, activating switches and whatnot, or you can skip half of it by bullet jumping onto this stairs here, walking up here, and either avoiding the drone or shooting it. It's entirely up to you. This drone will pretty much stay in place the entire time it's there. Being such a low level, any weapon will pretty much one-shot this thing, assuming it's got any mods on it whatsoever. You can then jump over to this platform, which will lead you up even further. And this will then lead you to the door leading to the hacking control room. Now, that's the slow and methodical way of doing it. If you want to do this in a bit more of a fundamentally easy manner, if you come out of the waterfall where you entered, or where you exited, sorry, if you turn directly to your right, jump up onto this ledge here, and then jump again, you literally get to the end in 2 jumps. There is no need to go all the way around when you can just shorten it very simply. Moving on to the Kuva Fortress spy missions. These can be quite frustrating. Most of them are very linear, but can be mechanically quite annoying, as well as you can also suffer from the mechanical offsets that just don't either work well at all. So the first one is this one right here, where you're going to have a very long-winded. This is very linear, but can end up going awry if you're not paying attention. There are multiple enemies in your path that you can either sneak up on and stab in the butt, like so. This is probably one of the most notable areas where ciphers are going to come in a very very handy, but you definitely don't need them. This can very handily be done without using ciphers. It's just, again, for the sake of time, imagine I'm hacking these normally. So once you hack this one here, you're then going to turn to the right. There'll be a door that opens. There are a couple of small shortcuts you can take, as well as a couple of switches that can turn off some of these lasers. Now, in this room here, you'll have a dude that's patrolling. You can either kill him, let him do his thing. Then you go in, and you can either hide back here to avoid the laser. You wait for it to pass through. You go up, you hack, and you usually have enough time to do a full hack before the thing comes back on you. You can time it out to be about 5 seconds to 10 seconds either way. So it'll pan over to one side, stay for 10 seconds, then pan back. So then you're going to go through the door on the right, then up to the next room. Much similar to the first room you went into, there's going to be a bunch of cameras. There's going to be a dude wandering around, which is right here. He's going to go up and butt stab him, like so. Now this one can go awry very quickly. You can either take a bit of a precautious method by going up and killing the dude up here as well, or you can go ham-fist and just jump down and get on there straight away. These cameras are more so going to be troublesome for getting this button pressed here. This button will then unlock the control nodule here. If you stand in the correct place, these lasers don't even hit you either, but you'll go on, you'll hack. You want to time it so that the cameras are going back to that mode just as they're passing through, and then jump down as one of them pass back over. You'll have a gap of about, again, 5 to 10 seconds in order to do the hack. You'll then go down through the door again to the right, and that'll lead you into the final room. And for the next Kuva spy, this one's a little bit tricky on the execution, but if you pay attention, you'll be able to execute this quite nicely. You get into this room, you're going to want to go straight to the right. You want to hug this wall here and wait for the laser to go back to the left. You're then going to go over this little ridge, jump down below, wait for that laser up there to travel by. You're going to go down to this little trench and then skirt around here. You'll see these little tubes. You want to go straight past them. And out here, there will be 2 drones. Again, you can either kill them, or you can wait for them to pass through. It's entirely up to you. You then wait on this side for the drone to pass through on the other side there. Hopefully you don't get spotted by it. You're then going to go up this little corridor here, and there'll be a drone sitting in the corner there. You can either wait for it to pass, but it does wait a very long time. My recommendation is just to go straight past it, shoot the scanner above the door, hack the door, and that will then lead you into the final room. And now for one of the more annoying of the Kuva spy segments. This one has a lot of opportunities for you to be spotted, so take your time and don't F it up. In the initial room, there will be a dude that can spot you. You want to shoot him off as quickly as you can. Don't let him wander too far away, because he will very likely end up killing you or spotting you and then causing a larger trigger. What you want to do is you want to hug the wall on the left here, go directly through like so, go through into this area. Now in here there are multitudes of things that can spot you, so you want to use any asset you can that can prevent you from being seen, and you're going to wait for the laser to pass through, or you're going to use the undercarriage here. You're going to sneak on through like thus, get round the back like this, and then over in the corner, assuming I can get out of this little corner, over here you're going to look for the little avenue down in the corner, and you're going to go through this little tunnel, which will lead you up into the end segment. Now, that may have been very quick, but that's because I've done this a few times. You will very much want to get used to the pathing of the enemies and make sure you know what enemies are out there, because there can be a multitude of scanning drones as well as enemies that will be wandering by. Much like most of these spy missions, it's down to repetition. Get used to traveling the path to complete it. Hopefully this video has been somewhat informative for you. Again, this is all down to personal preference and I very much recommend going out of your way to find alternative routes. The routes that I've shown are the routes that have worked the best for me, as well as being either the safest or the simplest. And at the very least, this guide has been there for a beginner's introduction to Spy Guide. There are many other things to go into this, where it be with looking at different mods, augments, and avenues you can approach to attempt these spy missions. So hopefully you've learned something from this. If you have, feel free to leave a like, share it to your friends, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see all of you top hatters in the next episode. I need to get better at these outros. Either way, thank you for watching. Ta-ra!